This video is brought to you by Devout Decals, makers of reusable Catholic art for your home altar, your bedroom, and your home classroom.
From time to time, we get these stories of priests engaging in bizarre behavior that scandalizes the faithful. Usually, these scandalous stories involve a priest doing evil, unspeakable activities, McCarrick-type activities, the kind of men that Francis will, for whatever reason, bring to Rome and give a cushy job in the Roman Curia until everything blows over. And of course, men like Ted McCarrick himself. Or sometimes these will be priests who are engaged in the activities that James Martin wants to make normal, wants to get the church to change its teaching on. Those are bad enough, but oftentimes you will see priests do absurd, bizarre things that cause scandal because it's clear that they have lost the concept of what their job as a priest is. A story comes to mind from about a year or two ago when a priest was saying Mass in Italy off a beach in a pair of swim trunks on a rubber floaty. Remember that story? We have a story like that today. We have a story of a priest who was clearly well-intentioned, but he forgot the most basic thing about being a priest, which is not to cause scandal, and that a priest is called to be holy. All people are called to be holy, but to be a priest is something else entirely. That their vocation is that they are set apart from everyone else, and as such, what they can do to take care of problems that they see is not the same thing as what other people can do. And there is a line that has been crossed in the story, as you'll see. So we turn to asianews.it for this headline. Yogyakarta, Jesuit lies on rubbish to denounce failure to dispose of it. A priest has denounced the decay around historic St. Ignatius College, residence for professors and seminarians. The Indonesian Minister of the Environment demanded immediate action and threatened legal action against the local administration, which admitted to having difficulties. What you'll notice by the picture that's on your screen right now is the priest engaged in a political protest. And his political protest was to lie fully vested for Mass on a pile of rubbish. And that is how he crossed the line. You'll see, though, some other thinking was involved here, too, that may have also crossed the line as we get into this story. There are certain things that you cannot do as a priest. And one of those is misusing the symbols and the objects used that are set aside for holy worship for secular, vulgar things. No matter if the secular issue that he's trying to address is good, like in this case, it is perfectly right and just for a priest to raise his voice against a social problem, as long as he represents the church's position on the solution to the social problem, which we'll get into here in a moment. But he crossed the line. From the article, quote, a Jesuit priest, Father Mutiare Andalas, has attracted the attention of the Indonesian authorities by lying on a mountain of rubbish to denounce the mismanagement of waste disposal in the city of Yogyakarta. The symbolic gesture, which took place at the beginning of October but only recently went viral on social media, triggered an immediate reaction from the local authorities. And the Minister of the Environment, Hanif Faisal Nurofik, the rubbish is piled up in a temporary area near the historic St. Ignatius College, a residence for Jesuit professors and seminarians. This mountain of rubbish is located next to our fence in the campus of Sanata Dharma University, Father Andalas explained to Asia News. The priest was accompanied for a different gesture to attract more attention. The spread of the video on social media prompted the environment minister to visit the site. During the visit, Minister Nurofik floated the idea of taking legal action if the problem is not resolved quickly. If waste management had been done properly, then such an unfortunate situation would not have occurred at the Mandala Kirita site, the minister said, accusing the local administration of neglecting the condition of the depot despite the government having provided several billion rupees for waste disposal. Every day, about 300 tons of waste are generated in Yogyakarta, but only 180 tons are collected and disposed of, admitted the mayor. The rest remains piled up, exacerbating the risk of sanitation problems for the surrounding community, including St. Ignatius College and the Sanata Dharma University campus. The governor and Sultan of Yogyakarta said he was infuriated by the mismanagement of the situation, urging the mayor to address the problem more seriously. However, the lack of coordination with civil agencies and the absence of an effective plan for a fixed disposal site continued to hinder the resolution of the problem. End quote. It is completely fine for a priest who sees a social problem that's not being addressed to lend his voice to those raising voices, and if need be, raise his voice himself. And don't be mistaken here. Problem of garbage piling up everywhere and not being disposed of properly is a public health crisis. They face one in that country. Again, the problem here is not the priest even participating in this. In fact, I would go so far as to say that a Catholic priest in this situation could offer, even if it requires working with leaders of other religions in the area, local people, to work together to solve this problem, to help coordinate the laity to address the problem with the local authorities, or even to help the local authorities coordinate discussions on how to find a solution to the problem. That is fine. The priest, I'm certain, was living what he thought was the Laudato Si message. If you don't remember what Laudato Si was, it was Pope Francis's encyclical on care for our common home, on creation, on the green problem, the thermometer problem, and one of those issues you're not really permitted to critique at all on any mainstream social media platform. But you get the idea. That was Francis's generally considered landmark encyclical. He considers it such because it was released in 2025 or 2015, and here we are about to hit 2025, and we are now celebrating an anniversary for the document. He even issued a sequel to it earlier this year called Laudate Deum. The priest no doubt thinks he's living the message of Laudato Si. Laudato Si has, of course, got a lot of dubious kind of solutions to problems in it. But the problem here is, again, that the priest was fully vested for Mass. There is a line you do not cross, and that is the use of holy things for vulgar purposes, for secular purposes. And make no mistake, this is a secular problem. Not every secular issue is bad. Clearly, it's okay for the laity to be taking part in a sanitation problem and trying to find a solution to something that basically is a public health issue. That's fine. That's not the issue. It's in fact fine that the priest was involved in that. The problem here is he was fully vested for Mass, showing disrespect to the holy sacrifice of the Mass and his office as a priest. That is the issue here. It's not one to be looked upon lightly. And that goes to one of the main problems we see in the church today. All too many priests will see their job, their vocation as priest, as a mere job, that they can do other things with their time and lend credibility to other things as a priest. And sometimes that's right ordered, but most of the time that's not. Talk to any priest. Virtually all of them have very, very little personal time. Between the masses they're required to say every day, every single day, or the ministry work that they do, not to mention managing a parish or working in the chancery office or whatever it is their bishop has assigned them to do, between all those things, they have very little time. But some of them, for whatever reason, are allowed to be political activists, which most of the time it gets to be a bad thing, because you run into two risks for priests when they get involved in these kind of things. It either subsumes their vocation as a priest and turns into sort of this following of personality. Some have accused Father Frank Pavone of that. I don't accuse him of that, but some have accused him of that. Others accuse priests who are public figures on social media of having fallen into that. In some cases, it's not an inaccurate assessment. In other cases, it just lacks charity, what they're saying. But that's how it is in some cases. And you can usually tell when their behavior publicly gets inappropriate. When the priest in question loses sight of the fact that what they're doing is sacred, and that everything involved with what they do as a priest being sacred crosses the line into the vulgar, crosses the line into the secular. And that is what we have in this case. A priest motivated by a good motivation, again, a public health crisis, garbage literally piling up in the streets of the city he's in, and the public services not doing their job to take care of the problem. Motivated to help solve that problem, which is fine. A priest can do such things. They are, after all, a shepherd of souls, and they can actually work with their flock to, in one way or another, to solve the problem. But he crossed the line by blurring the lines between the holy and the vulgar, the holy and the profane. And in this case, may have essentially desecrated his Mass attire. I hope he had them washed before he used them at the next Mass that he offered. I know some people will think, oh, that's not that big a deal. No, it is, because this gets to the underlying problem we see with a lot of priests who do not understand how their role is separate, that is set apart from the broader culture, how it's separated and how they are to behave when they interact with the culture. But I'm curious, what do you think about this? If you're in Indonesia seeing this, because I know there's a few of you who watch from Indonesia, have you heard about this story? What did you think when you heard it? And let me know about more details about how big of a problem this is. Is this just in that one community, or is it more widespread? Let me know in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly helps. So does sharing this on social media. That helps too. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.